She entered my room at midnight without making a sound. That alone should have been impossible. The doors of the Bastion residence were layered with biometric seals, quantum locks, and a proximity alarm that could wake an entire floor if someone so much as leaned too close. I knew because I helped design them. Humanity's first interspecies embassy didn't leave security to chance. And yet, when my eyes snapped open, she was already there, standing at the foot of my bed, silhouetted by the faint blue glow of the city shield beyond the window. I reached instinctively for the emergency console embedded in the wall. My hand froze midair. She raised one slender silver-gray hand and said calmly, "Please don't. We are out of time." Her voice wasn't spoken through air alone. It vibrated faintly inside my skull, layered with harmonics no human vocal cords could produce. Alien. Unmistakably so. My heart hammered as I sat up. "How did you get in here?" "I walked," she replied, tilting her head in a way that suggested curiosity rather than mockery. "Your defenses are formidable. They are simply designed for threats you already understand." That should have terrified me more than it did. Instead, a strange clarity settled over my fear. I was Ambassador Elias Wren, representative of Earth. Panic wouldn't help anyone. "Who are you?" I asked. She stepped closer, and the room's dim lights revealed her fully. Tall, willowy, skin like moonlit metal etched with faint bioluminescent veins. Her eyes, 3 of them arranged in a triangular pattern, focused on me with unsettling intensity. "I am Salith of the Continuum," she said. "And humanity has been misjudged." That was when she spoke the words I never expected. "We need you to save us." The Continuum was ancient, older than human civilization by tens of thousands of years. A federation of species that had survived stellar collapses, vacuum plagues, and wars fought across dimensions. They were the ones who had first contacted us, cautiously, diplomatically, like scholars approaching an unexpected anomaly. Humanity had been labeled a Class 3 emerging species. Promising, passionate, unstable, not dangerous. Salith explained everything in the next 10 minutes, while my sense of reality quietly unraveled. The Continuum was under attack, not by an empire or a rival coalition, but by something they called the null tide. A self-propagating field of entropy that consumed not matter, but probability itself. Entire star systems vanished, not exploding or collapsing, but simply ceasing to have ever been. "We cannot fight it," Salith said. "We cannot outthink it. We have tried for centuries. Every advanced civilization we bring into the fold eventually faces the same end. And you came to me because..." "Yes, because humanity reacts differently to inevitability," she replied. "You do not accept it." I almost laughed. "Almost. You broke into my room at midnight because you think humans are stubborn?" Her eyes shimmered. "Because when faced with extinction, your species does not search for permission to survive. You improvise. You escalate. You weaponize hope." That hit harder than any flattery should have. Salith showed me projections, humanity's military doctrines, our disaster response simulations, our historical records. The Continuum had been watching us far more closely than they admitted. Every time Earth faced annihilation, asteroids, climate collapse, pandemics, we didn't unite because we were noble. We united because we were angry at the universe for daring to try. "The null tide adapts to advanced technology," Salith said. "But it cannot predict irrational defiance. Your kind repeatedly survives scenarios our models declare impossible. And you want us to fight it," I said quietly. "No," she corrected. "We want you to lead us." By dawn, the bastion was in chaos. Emergency summits were called. Generals argued with physicists. Politicians demanded assurances that did not exist. Salith stood at the center of it all, calm as a star chart, while humanity's finest minds tore the problem apart. The breakthrough didn't come from a supercomputer or an alien archive. It came from a junior engineer named Marisol Chen, who looked at the null tide simulations and said, "Why are we assuming it plays by the rules?" She proposed something insane. A distributed network of human crewed vessels performing unpredictable, emotionally driven maneuvers, sacrificing efficiency for chaos. Not AI-controlled. Not optimized. Human. We called it the Defiance Net. When the null tide reached the edge of continuum space, it encountered something it had never faced before. Millions of small, fragile ships acting with no central logic. Pilots singing, joking, arguing, making last-second decisions based on gut instinct and stubborn refusal to die quietly. The null tide faltered. Probability twisted. Outcomes split. The field destabilized, unable to resolve futures that depended on human irrationality. For the first time in its existence, the null tide retreated. The cost was high. Humanity lost ships, lives, heroes who would never be fully known. But we held the line, not just for Earth, but for thousands of worlds that had already given up hope. Weeks later, I stood again in my room at midnight. This time Salith knocked. The city lights reflected softly off her metallic skin as she inclined her head. "The continuum has voted unanimously," she said. "Humanity is no longer classified as Class 3. I smiled tiredly. "Let me guess. Class 1. Her eyes glowed warmly. "There is no higher class. You are designated something new." "And what's that?" "Yes." She paused, as if savoring the words. "Existential anchors," she said. "Where humans stand, the future refuses to collapse." As she turned to leave, I realized something profound. The universe hadn't underestimated humanity. It had simply never expected us to look back at oblivion and say, "No. Try harder." The title Existential Anchors spread faster than any official declaration. At first, it was just a classification buried in continuum archives. Then it appeared in tactical briefings. Then in civilian broadcasts. Then, quietly, in the prayers of species that had never believed survival was something you could choose. Where human fleets arrived, despair receded. Not because we were invincible, but because we acted like extinction was a problem to be solved, not a destiny to be accepted. Months later, I stood on the observation deck of the Bastion, watching ships from 100 worlds dock alongside human vessels. Designs that once never would have shared space now floated side by side, their crews exchanging gestures, languages, and stories. Salith joined me, her presence no longer unsettling, just familiar. "The null tide has not returned," she said. "Our analysts believe it may never." "Or it's learning," I replied. She inclined her head. "Perhaps. But it has learned fear." That made me chuckle softly. "Good. It should." She turned to me then, her 3 eyes studying my face. "Do you know why your species succeeded where ours failed?" I considered the question carefully. "Because we don't think the universe is fair," I said at last. "And we don't think survival has to be deserved." Salith's bioluminescent veins pulsed gently, a continuum sign of deep reflection. "Then the galaxy is fortunate," she said, "that you chose to look up instead of inward." As I watched a human pilot help an alien child peer through the viewport, I understood the truth behind the title they'd given us. Humanity wasn't stronger. We weren't smarter. We weren't older.